Hello traders, in this video we are going to be talking about the volume indicators. We're going to be talking about Ultra, a little update to Ultra, and also the new dynamic Ultra drawing tool. So let's start off with a little update to Ultra. You can see Ultra's lines here. It's as simple as this. We press the little button up the top to turn Ultra off, and we use it again to turn Ultra on. Why is this beneficial? Well, if you want to turn it off, you can then look at the chart with just the bars on there or just the volume indicators, but also we might want to turn that off if we want to use any of our drawing tools, or especially the Ultra drawing tool. So let's just click that back on. And what we're going to do is we're just going to talk through Friday's trading opportunities on the MNQ and how we can use Ultra for targets and also use the volume indicators to then tell us what side of the market we should be on. So let's go right back to the London Open, because I'm from the UK, so it makes sense to start looking at that. We'll stretch this out a little bit so we can see the volume at the bottom better, because once the volume from New York kicks in, we can hardly see the volume from London. Here's Ultra starting off on the morning, so it's just printing around about the London Open, and it's taken the maths from before that. And as we can see, we've got these Ultra levels painted on the chart. Now, usually with Ultra, we'd expect if price is above the pivot, then we're going to start hitting these fest targets. And then usually maximum, we would hit these targets. But that didn't happen today. We actually hit up to the purple targets before we even got to New York. So let's just look at this on a trading level. When we come into London, we see we have this candle here. That's the fest candle that is created at London. And what it's telling us is it's a green candle, and we want to be looking at these trend dots. You can see these little round dots. We want price to be above it, and we want volume to be the right color. We can see here on the volume sniper indicator that the green is above the red. Now, this is also the volume sniper indicator, but the differences between this one and this one is this is just set to bars, and this one is just set to lines. So had we taken a trade here right at the London Open, we're above pivot, and then we could have just looked at these trend dots. What we're looking for is price to remain above the trend dots, because once we go below them, there is either going to be a pullback or a price change completely where we start moving down in the market, but we didn't. Let's just pull this together a little bit more. Okay. So as you can see, price pulls above it. We have our indicators and volume telling us that everything is to the long side. If we had taken the trade here and waited for a pullback, which we didn't get, then we could have followed this trade along with volume, watching volume, using Ultra as our targets. So there's our fest targets. We wouldn't have had much, but it would still be a fest target. Our second target would be here. And as you can see, we hit that target, and we can see that volume is telling us we're on the right side of the market here. We're above the Ultra pivot. We've got volume in our favor. We're above the trend dots. Now just keep your eye on the trend dots going up. We hit our first target here. We get a little pullback, but it doesn't get back to our level. And then we get a pullback back to this level. So if we didn't get in here, this is an ideal opportunity to go long at this level. Even though we're pulling back, we can still see that volume is in our favor with the Viper indicator. So this is the volume Viper indicator. And just to note as well that Gil does not use these volume indicators in the trade room or in his trading. This is just for people who like that added bit of visual. So we're still in the trade, or we've entered the trade here. We want to follow the trend dots. We can take the trade here, have a stop below or a scale in back at the pivot, or alternatively, we wait for price to break above the trend dot with a green candle, with green volume, with green Viper on both of these. We do still have a red map at the bottom. This isn't crucial. This is just telling us there's a pullback. Let's walk into this trade. So as price goes along, we get another opportunity here if we miss this trade at this level to enter a trade. So that's a pullback to one of the ultra levels. We're looking at the trend dots. Notice how price is above the trend dots at all times. Let's move forward. So we've got a target, we get a pullback, then we get this huge push up. Now, we don't usually get purple levels being hit before New York. So this is pretty much a one-off, but on this occasion you can see that price has come up, it's hit another target. So this was our original targets. This could have been another target, and then another target. We could have taken entries here. We could have taken entries on this pullback or this pullback, but we're keeping our eyes on the trend dots. We're keeping our eyes on volume, on the Viper indicators, and also we're keeping an eye on where we are above the pivot with Ultra. So let's just continue this as we go throughout the day. Price breaks above and then hits the final target on Ultra, which is again not usually hit until New York on a trending day. Price breaks above it, comes back, and then we get this move down. So we can see now that we've got price that is broken below the trend dots. We've got red volume, but we've still got green volume on Sniper. So it's still telling us that the overall trend in the market is still to the upside. This would have been a perfect level for an entry and then a scale in possibly at this level as well. Let's just have a look how that played out. So we get a pullback. So we can see that this candle's close is below this candle. What that means is we're confirming that there is a possibility of a change in direction at here, but we would still expect price to come back up and test a higher level before it goes down. That's just typical market movement. We can see here the next candle doesn't close below the other candle or the previous candle. The same again on this candle, doesn't close below this one, and we don't get an opportunity to scale in here either. Price continues to move up and again pulls back and then finally hits this purple level again. So another great opportunity for a trade here and a possible pullback here for a scale, but that didn't happen. So that's how we can trade Ultra up to New York and then going into New York, and then we have the new levels here which are created later on in the New York session. And again you can see that price is pushed above it. It doesn't actually hit any targets above that for the rest of the day. If you're in the UK, you wouldn't probably be trading anywhere past 4 o'clock, but if you're trading New York, then you'd be looking at these levels. We don't get a pullback to the purple levels, and we don't get a pullback either back to these levels. So that's pretty much how the day ended if you were using Ultra. You can see here we were always on the long side, but notice how we started getting a pullback here and momentum was changing, but we're getting a change in direction in Viper, which means we're probably just going to go sideways. And if you look at the market, it pretty much does that. So that's how you would trade the G levels Ultra with the volume indicators, looking at the trend dots for direction. If you're above, we want to be long. If we're below, it's either a change in direction or just a pullback. And on this level, you can see we actually pulled back to the new levels lines, which would have been a great opportunity for a long. And eventually you go back to the pivot of that new line as well. So that would have been another great trade had you used the pullback method, which Gil teaches in the room time and time again. So that's Ultra, and again you can just turn Ultra off and back on again, and let's show the reason why turning off Ultra and using the new indicator would be beneficial. So Here we are back with the indicators. We can see the volume indicators again on the bottom. These are volume candles as well, so they represent what is going on here. And we also have those trend dots again. This time we're going to use the drawing tool. So this is the new dynamic ultra drawing tool. Now, if I'm trading from the London Open, I'm looking for a pullback before the London Open, and this is the last pullback that we make. So I'm just going to put the ultra indicator on there, and I'm going to be looking from London on what we can do with that. Now let me just pull this to one side and we'll walk through that again, and you can also see here how price went up and hit that absolutely perfectly to the purple lines as well. So I'm just going to put this to the right and we'll stretch it out again so we can see the volume. Here we are. So this is the London Open. We can see again that volume's pulled up, and then we would trade this exactly the same way as we did with the previous ultra. But this time we're going to be using this low to help us with our targets going forward. So if we didn't enter here because the targets were very short, what we're looking for is a pullback. And we can see here we have the perfect pullback. We have green above red on Viper and the same below, and we have green on the map below as well. So everything signal for a good long trade. Again, we get another pullback here, which we could have took the opportunity of, and we're looking for those targets. Now you can see straight away we hit this target here. We're above the green trend dots again, which we seen earlier on. But just look how by using this previous low that we got the perfect target up here as well. Moving on for the rest of the day, if we went through that, we get a perfect pullback this time because we've used this low to this level where we could have taken a trade to go long, and we already know what the outcome of that was. So we could have taken a trade here, scaled in here, and then we would be looking at this as a target, and then as we know, it also pulled right back up to hit the top target, which is the purple level on the top. So that's ultra from there, the dynamic ultra. But what we can do is we can just grab ultra, and can you see the little dot there? Hopefully you can see it. If we just line that dot up, just pull this over, line that dot up with the next low, which is here, click, it will give us some new levels, and look again how well these levels worked and how they picked out the tops and these bottoms again. And that was just a little bit of a move up from the previous low, but we can put this dynamic ultra on any pullback. So let's just move it again to this pullback, and again we have new levels right in front of us, and look how well it uses the levels. This is all to do with maths and the way that the market works with using universal maths for targets. So price pulls up, comes back down, gives us opportunities, and again, look at that right at the very, very top here. What else we can use it for is if we just take the drawing tool off just by pressing the delete button, we can then go back to the tools. Let's just crunch this up a little bit. We know that this was a top, so we can use the tops as well. Let's put dynamic ultra on this top, which was this candle, and we can see how perfectly by using that top that we nailed this target down here. So we've pulled below the trend dots, we get a pullback and then a pushback through. This would have been a great entry to go along to this target, and then it pulls back to here. So if you're taking this as a long trade, we could have traded that back to these levels, and eventually the market just closes here. So that's how ultra works from the dynamic ultra. You put it on any high or any low, and it will work out perfectly the maths to the levels or the higher probability levels that price is going to reach. I just wanted to say as well that all indicators, every single indicator that you purchase from GTraderPro, as long as you're a member of one of the either Essentials Pass or the Inner Circle Pass, all updates will always be completely free. every single update, including this new one to Ultra, any updates to Dynamic Ultra, and any updates to the volume indicator suite. So I hope you found this video useful. If you're interested in wanting to purchase any of these indicators, feel free to reach out to myself or Gil in the Discord channel, and we'll even send us a private message, and we'll have a chat about that, and we'll get you set up as soon as possible. But this indicator, this suite, is literally the best thing that you're going to find, along with Gil's trade room, to be able to be successful in the market.